Just before we close out this section on the final stages of pre-production and prep, I just wanted to go over a few gotchas that happen on tech scouts and in between the period of tech scout to the shoot day. These are just some common ones that I've seen come up again and again and again, and newer cinematographers will often overlook these. Number one, the biggest one, is if you are working in an area or on location where you need lights, do you have enough power? Generators are the most often skipped things on tech scouts. If maybe they don't have enough money to bring the gaffer or the grip along to a tech scout, like you need to have that information of just how much power you're going to get away with. Even if they are on the tech scout, just have to be reminding people that that's an extra expense. Newer producers or lower budget productions, they may not be aware of just what is required for a generator to operate. Where can it park? How loud is it? All these things you need to know. So number one on the gotcha list is, do you have enough power? Number two on the gotcha list that you have to look out for, you have to keep in the back of your mind that people often forget, is how many times is the camera changing its rig? So how many times is it going from Steadicam to Dolly, from Dolly to Technocrane, from Technocrane to Movi, from gimbal to handheld? Those camera changes takes so much time, right? So much to the point where if you have quite a few moves, you need to think about having another camera, or you need to explain to the production that without that second camera, we're doing this many changes. It's not factored into the schedule. We need to just make considerations for that. It's going to slow us down. That's going to impede our progress. So what's more expensive? 30 people waiting around for the camera to be re-rigged, or just having another body there already rigged in that position? So camera rigging. How many times is the format changing sizes, changing components, changing wireless, whatever it is? Those camera re-rigs eat into schedules. The third got you is more of a time saver. So it's more something to keep in the back of your mind and discuss with the production and with the gaffer. And that is, do you have enough things to double up? So we mentioned this before. Do you have enough lighting to be able to pre-light things ahead of time? Do you have the manpower? Do you need that stuff? If you get a really compact schedule that is really packed in, lots of moves, lots of high-end lighting things that are trying to be happening in a very short amount of time, think about offering up that as an option of, okay, let's double up and let's add an extra person so they can land in a spot and they can run the cable, they can do all these things and just keep us ahead. So planning on what's going to cost more money, slowing down or adding that extra person, adding that extra gear. Number four on the list is going to be location moves. Are there lots of location moves? Those are going to kill your schedule. If you're working on a lower budget project that maybe doesn't have a first AD who's responsible for this stuff, who should know these things, just keep it in the back of your mind that production's going to want to know. Every time we move location, we have to de-rig everything. We got to pack down all the lights. We got to pack down all these things. Location moves eat into time. If you can eliminate them, if you can make them closer together, if you can rearrange the order somehow so that you're able to get the most out of your location moves, now is the time to do it. In this pre-production process, offer up those solutions, offer up those things. Maybe if you're shooting a wide at one location, it's a huge giant rig, but if you're shooting a close-up of the location, maybe that changes things and you can get out of there quicker. So think about altering the schedule from the shots of going, okay, well, let's go from the wide to the tight because of these reasons, or let's go from the tight to the wide because of these reasons. Maybe we can let people go. Maybe we can do other things and send people off to the next location. So location moves should always be a red flag of, okay, how are we going to best navigate this? Because it's an opportunity as a cinematographer to bring some solutions to the table. How can we make this quicker? How can we make it better? How can we make it more efficient? Another huge gotcha is versions, script versions. If you're planning out this whole day and you've meticulously looked at, this is how long the setup is going to take, this is how long we have for shooting, this is how long it's all going to come in handy, it's all going to be perfect in this little narrow tiny window, we've got lots to do, and then all of a sudden there's another version of the script added, or there's another version of a line added, just be prepared. Be prepared with plans. Talk to the first AD, talk to the director, because versions will kill a production. Because then if you do one version in the morning of one line, you're going to have to repeat that throughout the entire day. And it's going to eat into so much of the schedule. So be looking out for just how many versions are there. Are we doing a 15-second, a 30, and a 60, and they all have their alt lines? Knowing those things, you can then go back to the production and say, listen, we're not going to have time to do this other location. This is now going to have to become 2 days because it's just gotten too much, like realistically. Because if you're the person that provides that information, they're going to be thankful. They're going to go, okay, well, this cinematographer obviously cares. They understand what the production is up against, and the more problems that you can solve or the more problems that you can bring to light early on, the better it's going to make you look on set, because you don't want to be the person that's late because they went through 15 different versions. People don't want to hear that while it's happening. They want to hear that stuff before it's happening so that you can provide solutions in order to negate any of those negative experiences from coming up. The other gotcha here for cinematographers, I mean, Atmos using haze has become so in vogue at the moment that this really, you have to talk about this beforehand. And that is, if you are going to commit to using haze, just be prepared. Be prepared in how long it's going to take to keep consistent, a way that you're going to keep it consistent, the location. Is it possible to keep consistent in wherever you are? Just know that Atmos sounds like a great idea, but on these tech scouts, you need to make everyone aware, make the art department aware, make the production designer aware that we're going to be using Atmos, or the director or the first AD, so that they know and they can incorporate it into their workflow, because right before you hit roll, you're probably going to have to control that Atmos, and that's going to change the workflow for the first AD. It's going to change the vibe on set. So that gotcha is, if you're using Atmos, if you have the idea of doing it, just know that if it's a really compact schedule, it can really blow things out. So be prepared for Atmos to probably, more likely than not, be the first thing off the list if it's a really tight schedule. Okay, so the key takeaway from this gotcha section is just be aware of some general things that often come up. There's a lot more than this, but this is just a very brief outline of some big things that you want to keep in the back of your mind if these things come up on the Tech Scout, or before that, or even after that, up until the shoot. If these questions arise, you just need to have them up in the back of your mind. Red flag, like, okay, what do I need to know in order to not make this an issue? Or what do I need to pass on? Or who do I need to talk to in order to make sure that we don't blow ourselves out of the water for no reason, when all of these things really can be solved in the pre-production process. So look out for the gotchas, develop your own list, and with enough time, with enough experience, you're going to start to see not only how you can tackle these, the best way to do it, but also how you can actually make some of these into strong points of a production.